Alright, welcome to Radicast 1980X, the official spin-off podcast for the Satan Ninja 1980X webcomic. I am Adam Dravian, the writer of the webcomic, and with me
is Jessica Safron,
the artist and co-writer.
Yes.
For the webcomic. And we watch a shitload of 80s media.
A lot.
And now we're going to record this to let you know what we think of the 80s media we're watching.
Yes.
What did we just watch?
We just watched Death Wish 3.
Yeah. From 1985.
Yeah.
Directed by Michael Winter and starring Alex Winter.
Starring Alex Winter. Charles Bronson is in it.
Yeah, Charles Bronson's in it too. So, the first Death Wish movie I thought was actually a pretty good movie. All three were directed by Michael Winter, which is weird because
of how
the jump in quality between
really?
them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they all have the same director.
Oh my god.
And from what I've read, Michael Winter he actually passed away a few years ago, but he is kind of a sadistic asshole.
I'm not surprised.
Like, he would hire an assistant that would have to follow him around on set about a foot behind him.
What?
And if he reached his hand back over his shoulder, that assistant needed to put a cigar in that hand. And if that assistant missed the beat and didn't get that cigar in that hand fast enough, he was fired. Yes.
Oh, man. I didn't know that. You are informing me right now.
Yeah, I watched Alex Winter give us a talk about the movie, and he talked about how this guy, he was apparently like a super big asshole. His girlfriend at the time, who was in the movie during she's a pseudo-rape victim. She talked about how he was into, like, you know, hitting her and just, like, a really abusive in the bedroom.
Well, now I feel even worse for her because, like, in the movie, I was thinking, like, oh, man, that poor... Like, this is so, like, crappy that I feel bad for the actress that has to put up with this. And she didn't even get it as bad as, like, a lot of the girls in the previous movies in this series.
One of the things that Alex Winter, we should probably specify, Alex Winter, for those of you who don't know, is Bill from Bill and Ted. He's also in The Lost Boys, and this was his first movie role, was Death Wish 3. So, and he does not think highly of the film. He did not have a very good experience making it. But Michael Winter apparently...
Michael Winter?
Michael Winter.
Oh, Michael Winter, not...
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Alex Winter.
Alex Winter.
Bill from Bill and Ted.
Yes.
There's Michael Winter, the crazy director of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a thing where he has rape scenes in his movies.
Yeah.
And
like, really awful ones.
Alex Winter talked about how he was infamous for his rape scenes taking like 3 days to film.
Oh my god!
Even though in the actual film itself, they're last maybe 10 seconds or something.
Well, they're pretty, they're pretty hard to watch.
So I guess it's implied that he has a lot of extra footage that he keeps for his personal
Oh
use.
my gosh, really? That's terrible.
I mean, why else would he take 3 days to film a 10-second scene?
Yeah,
I know they're pretty
Probably
intense, but I don't think it was for the artistry.
Could be in the moment, but yeah, I guess he's recording it, you know.
Alright, so what'd you think of Death Wish 1, just real quick?
Death Wish 1, it was decent. It's a decent movie.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Death Wish 1.
It's been a while since we watched Death Wish 1.
And that came out in 1974. And then they decided to make a sequel in, I think, 1982. And sometime in the early 80s. They made Death Wish 2.
Yeah.
Which...
I do know that I didn't like Death Wish 2 as much as Death Wish 1.
And you compared it to Rocky, the Rocky series.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if
why would you make that?
Should we explain? Because since we're such... haters of spoilers, what if they haven't seen Rocky 1 and 2?
Explain.
Okay, so, in Rocky 1, what, does it ends in a draw, right? Or does Rocky lose?
He goes the distance with Apollo Creed, but he doesn't win. It's like the judges deem Apollo Creed is the winner, but the whole point of Rocky 1 is that this nobody actually... He was supposed to go down in, like, the first round, but he ended up lasting the entire match and gave, like, a really good fight.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end, they're like, oh, okay, no rematch, that's it.
Yeah, no rematch.
Then Rocky 2.
No rematch. And then in Rocky 2, it's like, never mind, I want a rematch, says Apollo Creed.
This is a sequel now. Now there's gonna be a rematch.
I changed my mind right away. I want a rematch. Yeah, so then the whole movie is just like, hey, let's give, like, the fans of Rocky 1, which was a great movie, by the way. Yeah. Much better than I ever expected it to be. It was wonderful. Yeah, all of Rocky 2 is just like servicing the fans who really wanted to see Rocky win.
It's Rocky do-over. Like, oh, you didn't like how Rocky didn't win, but it's kind of a bittersweet ending. This time it's the same movie, but he does win and everything's great.
Yeah.
And he marries Adrian and takes her to the zoo.
Yeah, yes. It's like a super happy time. Everything's wonderful. So, it's like, wait a minute. What years did those come out? The Rocky 1 and 2? Because I think the first one was in the 70s, right?
Yeah, it was definitely in the 70s. I think Rocky 2 might have been 1980.
Yeah, maybe. It might have been 79. I don't know. But I know that when we were watching lots of movies from the 70s, we noticed a very big trend of like lots of like non-typical endings to movies, you know, not always like the good guy just like winning, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of darker movies in the 70s.
Yeah, and then the 80s comes around and it's like, oh no, let's have things be happy again.
Yeah, it was a time where everybody was really proud about America being number one, always winning. And so in the movies,
very reflected in
larger-than-life heroes winning big time. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the whole point of this was that Death Wish 2 suffered from the same feel of... Because in Death Wish 1, the hoodlums break into the apartment, they like rape his daughter, and murder his wife... And
didn't they rape his wife too?
Yeah, the rape and murder.
They do whatever. Wife. They do whatever Jeff Goldblum you could was possibly one of them, imagine.
Which is really funny to see.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum is a horrible guy.
And then they get away, and he becomes a vigilante, but he never encounters the perpetrators of the original violent crime.
He kills so many people, but
actually he doesn't kill that many people in the first movie.
No,
he kills like a handful of people.
He kills quite a few guys who are bad, and none of them are the bad guys that he originally set out to want to destroy.
So then Death Wish 2, which came out like 6 or 7 years after the first movie, they were like, hey, this time his now kind of brain-damaged, comatose, fucked up daughter.
Comatose.
Well, she's not comatose. She's walking around, but she doesn't really talk normally.
Catatonic? I mean, she's not really catatonic either. She just doesn't talk.
Anyway, she ends up getting attacked again by a new gang of hoodlums.
Super attacked.
And this time he directly targets the actual perpetrators of the crime, and he kicks their ass. And
still not Jeff Goldblum, but
no, they had a new.
They had Lawrence Fishburne instead of Jeff Goldblum.
Lawrence Fishburne was the surprise early role rapist character for that movie.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, when I was a teenager, I think I like came to the realization. I remember thinking like, man, does Jeff Goldblum play a scientist in every role that he's in? Because I feel like I've seen a lot of Jeff Goldblum movies, and he's always a scientist. I guess he's just been typecast. But yeah, I guess he wasn't always a scientist. He was a horrible rapist guy.
But it was a super small part.
It was very small, but very horrible.
Yeah. So anyway, Death Wish 2, he gets his revenge and kills people, and he gets a love interest.
Wait a minute.
What?
What if he was also a scientist? I mean, he kind of could have been. He's pretty young, but you know, maybe he was like in, you know, going to scientist school.
We were talking about Death Wish 2 now.
Oh, no, we were talking about Death Wish 3, I thought. Oh, yeah, I guess we're talking about 2.
building up to Death Wish 3.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Okay, yeah, Jeff Goldblum was a scientist / rapist thug, okay.
Okay, he's pretty young, though.
In Death Wish 2, the love interest was played by Charles Bronson's real-life wife, and because of that, he actually stipulated that she couldn't get raped or killed in the movie. So I think that's the only Death Wish movie where his love interest doesn't meet a terrible fate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I called that, too, because as soon as you mentioned that she was his wife in real life, I was like, oh, man, yeah, nothing's gonna happen to her or something like that.
No, and it didn't, except she left him at the end.
Yeah.
So now we're at Death Wish 3. The basic story is...
It's a breath of fresh air, I would say.
Charles Bronson, he travels back to New York after going to L.A. in the second movie. The first movie was in New York, so he goes back to his old stomping grounds with guns. One of his buddies was brutally killed by a gang of oddly multiracial street thugs. They're always very multiracial. They're very, like, accepting of different cultures in these movies.
I bet you there are plenty gangs who are
gangs are very racially segregated.
Okay.
That's like one of the main...
Typically. But you know...
No.
I don't know, the 80s tells me that they are very accepting. Every movie that we see. Yeah.
That's because you can't... Well, obviously you can't have the main bad guy gang be all comprised of one race, because that's just going to make, you look like you're trying to paint that race bad. So
I saw the Warriors. Gangs seem pretty cool. So, whatever.
So Paul Kersey finds his dead friend in the apartment. Then the police rush in, find Paul Kersey standing over the body, and are like, "You killed him. You're under arrest. You're a murderer."
And that's incredibly sad, because he just, found his buddy dead there.
Yeah, it's pretty much the worst thing, to find your dead buddy and then be accused of being the one who killed him.
Yeah, so
you'd think there'd be all sorts of people in the apartment that know that he was attacked by a gang and say, "No, this dude just arrived. He wasn't part of this gang."
I don't know. Do they know him? Maybe they think he's part of that gang.
But he says he didn't kill him.
Yeah, I know. He's like, he was my friend. I found him like this. Solid defense.
Yeah. Who would kill their friend? Like, no way.
Uh-huh.
Can't you hear how pathetic and sad
That does sound really sad.
Bronson is? Yeah, he's
not exactly freaking out, though.
Yeah, I think he's in his late 60s by the time of making this
Charles
movie.
Bronson very obviously doesn't care anymore when he's in this movie.
No, actually, Alex Winter talked about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said that Charles Bronson, I think his wife had recently died in real life.
Oh my gosh.
And
so wouldn't want to do like a Death Wish movie.
It was $1 million+ to do the movie. About over a tenth of the budget just went to him.
I hope that he was making more demands like he did for the last movie about his real life wife.
Actually, I think she died in the late 80s, so she wasn't dead yet, but I think she was sick. So he was dealing with a sick wife.
That's a huge bummer.
Yeah. So anyway, according to Alex Winter, he said that Charles Bronson was very distant. Like, if you talked to him, he just didn't seem like he was there, and he just coasted through the movie.
You can tell.
You can definitely tell watching the movie.
I don't blame him. I mean, even if I didn't know that, I wouldn't blame him for just coasting through this movie. It's a far cry from a masterpiece, I would say.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So they bring him to the jailhouse, and they bring him in front of the police chief, who is played by the dad of the what's that girl from Sex and the City?
I wouldn't know.
She was in the fucking witch movie, your favorite movie, Hocus Pocus.
It's not my favorite movie.
What's her name? You know her name.
When I was a kid. Sarah Jessica Parker?
Sarah Jessica Parker. He plays Sarah Jessica Parker's dad in Girls Just Want to Have Fun. He was
great.
like a military guy.
Has anybody else seen that movie besides Adam?
Right.
I refuse to watch that movie.
It was just a fun movie, okay?
No, it wasn't. I saw enough of the beginning of it.
Okay, well, Jessica didn't like Girls Just Want to Have Fun. But anyway, it had the same dad character. He's now a police chief who says dude a lot, which is really weird.
Very strange.
Because he seemed like not the type of character that would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he starts interrogating Paul Kersey, Charles Bronson, and Charles Bronson's like, "I have rights." And the police just said, "No, you don't, because I run this place. You have no rights here, dude." And then he punches Paul Kersey in the face and knocks him over. "I could kill you, dude."
Yeah, he's like, "I should have you killed, dude." It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. He's like, I'm the king of this castle." I don't know if he says that, but it basically, everything but that.
So he's a terrible dude. And then he throws Charles Bronson in the cell with a bunch of other hoodlums. Or creeps. The movie always calls them creeps. All these... So many creeps.
Creeps and dudes.
Yeah, creeps and dudes. So, all these creeps, they just randomly... One will just attack Charles Bronson. Like, out of nowhere. Just attack him. Charles, gives him an elbow. Bam! Knocks him out. And then, a minute later, another creep will decide to just try to attack him. And eventually, the lead creep, who's the leader of the gang in this movie... super badass cool guy, right?
Not at all. He looks incredibly lame.
He has slicked back greasy hair that is shaved right down to the scalp, right down the middle of his head.
Yeah.
Like a reverse mohawk, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, the slick back hair, shaved right down the center. That is super cool.
No, it's not.
No. There's nothing cooler than having a shaved head.
Oh my gosh. Well, you shaved the whole thing at least. That's like.
I wish I didn't.
Oh,
I wish
why?
I'm going to grow it out, and I'm just going to shave down the center so
I
could be like this guy and lead a gang.
I would be very sad if you did that.
This creepy looking gang leader, he attacks Paul Kersey, and
yeah, he did. Like, I would think that a gang leader would look like a cool guy and not like like he looks like a successful bad guy. Just as a. He looks like he'd be like a serial killer or something, like a creepy in the shadows lurking creep dude.
He looks like a low-rank Kurgan. This is what he looks like with his head shaved down the center.
No, I would think that any kind of Kurgan would probably make a better gang leader.
Well, so this gang leader attacks Paul. He punches Paul Kersey. Paul Kersey punches him in defense, and then the gang leader, it's like he has it in for him. He gets released on bail, and he's like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna kill an old lady just for you. And then that he becomes the main villain of the movie. And then the police chief talks to Paul Kersey again and says, alright, I know you used to kill people as a vigilante, and I'm gonna let you go, and now you're gonna work for me. So he goes from punching Paul Kersey in the face and
saying he should have him killed
to being like, hey, why don't you work for me, why don't you kill people for me? So let's
clean up this town together.
Yeah, clean it up. We're gonna work. We're gonna be a team. We're gonna, you like me. We're gonna be a successful partnership
here. At what point did he realize who Paul Kersey was?
As soon as he was brought into the station, he recognized him from the previous movies.
Oh wow!
Big fan of the Death Wish films.
Man, that's so weird. Maybe he planned this all along, that he was gonna do this big reversal or something.
Yeah, maybe he's playing good cop, bad cop, but just with one guy. Yeah. So he just seems like a psychotic cop.
Yeah.
But so he sets Paul Kersey loose to clean up the streets, saying like, hey, maybe some creeps are gonna die. We'll just look the other way. Creeps kill each other all the time. Go out there, do your thing. Clean up the streets. Dude. Yeah, dude. So Paul Kersey moves into his dead friend's apartment, and he befriends the locals. And Alex Winter is one of the gang members. And the gang members, there's also the Giggler.
There was the Giggler.
And his thing was he could run really fast, and he'd steal purses and stuff, and then run away, giggling.
And giggle.
Yeah, giggle the whole time. So Paul Kersey, he shoots the Giggler.
And kills him.
And then everyone in the neighborhood starts applauding.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
it's a very good time when the Giggler is killed.
Yeah, and the gang members are pissed off.
They're so pissed, and they're really dramatically he shot the Giggler! He killed the Giggler! The Giggler!
A lot of great dialogue in the movie.
Yeah.
And the defense attorney.
What? Who?
The love interest.
Oh, she was a defense attorney? I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I think so.
She just had that reporter feel about her. I guess
she's not a reporter.
Assumed that she was trying to get the scoop.
So when Paul Kersey's being released from jail, there is this woman who is a defense attorney, and she talks to him very briefly.
She says one sentence to him, and then she's like, "Now, how about we go get a drink or something,
she doesn't.
Baby?"
She says she tries to get his information, and he just walks out of the prison jail without saying anything.
And she's
so then she tracks him down later.
He's so hard to get.
Yeah, because he played hard to get. So she tracks him down and invites, has a really awkward scene where she invites him out to dinner with her, and there was no reason for her to be interested in this character whatsoever.
No
unless she just knows that it's Charles Bronson.
She's insane.
Yeah, so she seems kind of insane.
She's absolutely insane.
And Charles Bronson knows that these punks are watching him and that they are trying to do anything they can to hurt him.
And that every woman he's ever been involved with has met, a horrible end.
Except for his...
No.
The second movie.
She left him.
Okay, she left him so she didn't, suffer. So he agrees to go on a date with this lady, and the punks see that, and then, I think they go on one date, and then he sleeps with her. And then she drops him off at the post office. And while she's sitting there waiting for him while he's in the post office, the punks run up, punch her in the face, put the car in neutral.
Knocking her out.
Yeah, put the car in neutral. It rolls down the street. And luckily for the punks, she happened to hit really explosive vehicles that just made her whole car explode.
Yeah, engulfed in flames and probably instantly killed. Or at least Charles Bronson thinks so, because he looks at the explosion and then he's like,
Yeah, he takes it really well. I think he's just
turns
so
away
callous.
And like walks off.
he did know her for like 2 days, so
He fucked her by then, too.
So?
Yeah, well, that means you're in love with someone when you have sex with them, right?
Yeah.
That means you're married.
Yeah.
It means she's pregnant with his baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there goes his baby.
Yep. Baby's dead. Baby's burned.
Dead baby, dead love interest. It's a bad scene.
Yeah, so then he gets a machine gun and he just starts mowing down big groups of these punk guys.
Yeah. For the rest of the movie.
Yeah, basically the entire rest of the movie is him with guns. It's just a long... It's like a half-an-hour action scene.
Yeah.
Where he's just going around shooting anyone who's dressed in alternative style.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been
the gang leader
place for someone who just wanted to kind of look a little hip.
Yeah, the gang leader actually at one point gets on the phone. He's like, "Hey, send me more gang dudes. Thanks. Bye." I guess he just called like the gang delivery hotline.
Yes.
And then, you know,
so many show up.
Yeah.
It is
a bunch of bikers.
A sea of insane people.
And it's
just want to cause chaos. They're just like, I don't know, they're just having the best time of their lives, just causing as much chaos as possible.
Yeah, lots of chaos. And like the police chief meets up with Charles Bronson, and they just like are walking down the street together. They're like in a shooting gallery, just going just shooting bad guys left and right.
It is just like a video game.
Yeah,
and it's glorious.
They're killing bad guys at the top of buildings, killing bad guys that are hanging out of windows, killing bad guys that are at the top of trees. Just like bam, bam,
were
bam,
there
bam.
Trees?
Yes, there were guys hanging out the top of trees.
I didn't know there were trees in.
Well, you must have zoned out in this really long action sequence.
Yeah. I didn't know trees could survive in such a chaotic zone.
And finally, with the showdown with the leader of the gang, Paul Kersey ends up pulling out a missile launcher and shoots it like almost at point blank range, blowing up half of his apartment.
Yeah,
and killing the bad guy.
After the leader of the gang is like, "Hey, I got a bulletproof vest too.
Asshole.
I'm bulletproof. Asshole."
No, you're not missile proof though.
Definitely not missile proof. Yeah, so then that's like an awesome payoff after his really cocky reveal that he isn't dead. So, yeah.
So that's Death Wish 3.
Oh, and then Shannon Doherty is like, she like screams at the top
actually,
of her lungs.
I don't think that was Shannon Doherty. I thought it was at first, but...
Is it Cyndi Lauper?
Yeah.
Who was that lady?
I think
she looked really familiar.
She's too old to be Shannon Doherty.
Yeah, definitely.
But she looked kind of like her. That's why
what I was saying. Like, when you said that, oh, it's the girl in Heathers. It's like, what? Heathers is from 89 and she looks younger than that woman.
No, yeah, it was definitely not Shannon Doherty.
Well, whatever. Anyway, the main punk chick...
Who, I don't know if she had any lines, really. They showed her a few times.
They showed her prominently, I guess. She screams at the top of her lungs at the explosion that... I don't know, I guess results in the death of the main bad guy. But there's no way that could there have been any way that she knew what was happening? Like, what that explosion meant? Like, there were, like, all sorts of crazy things happening around her.
She could feel the disturbance in the gang force.
I guess. I don't know.
Leader of the gang's dead, and so all the gang members are surrounded by, like, a bunch of old people, and they have their weapons, and then they just throw them down and kind of walk away. And like, oh, we give up the gang life now. Yep. And
totally
the
done.
cop, the police chief tells Charles Bronson, like, all right, the police have arrived. I'm going to give you a head start to get out of here and go continue your vigilante and elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it really, they tried to turn the Death Wish series into like an urban Rambo. It was a lot like Rambo 2, but like
wish
in the city.
That would have been great.
What? How was it not?
Because it wasn't as good.
I thought that it was good.
I mean, Rambo 2, like, I saw that, 8 years ago or something. I don't know. I think I remember
it wasn't as good as Rambo 2.
Yeah, I think I remember Rambo 2 being more fun than this movie.
How much more fun can you get with Death Wish 3?
Oh my god.
I thought it was a fun movie. Like, all the dialogue was laughably bad.
Yeah. It was a lot more fun than Death Wish 2. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it was I think it was better than Death Wish 2. Mm-hmm. It was a terrible, terrible movie, but a fun, terrible movie. I thought it was fun, terrible.
I think I could just feel the sadness in Charles Bronson's eyes and his voice.
Yeah.
He was very reserved in a very, I don't know, like holding back tears sort of way. Like
Alex Winter said, he was just kind of floating through the movie, and
he was very floaty. I agree, floating. Perfect.
All right, well let's give our ratings then for Death Wish 3.
God.
Satan factor. There are lots of evil punks that are raping and looting and hooting and giggling.
Are they satanic though?
They love chaos and destruction.
Do they hail Satan ever? There's no mention of Satan.
There's no mention of Satan.
There's no Satan in this movie.
Okay.
Satan would have liked it. I don't know. It's such a shitty movie though.
There's a lot of death. There's a lot of killing.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it's low.
Very low.
Okay. Ninja factor. Paul Kersey kind of wears dark clothes.
No, he's not a ninja. There's no ninja factor.
He does a lot of punching and.
No.
Okay.
Very
low ninja factor.
Yeah.
80s factor?
Oh, man, it felt really 70s a lot of the time. But
mostly because of the score by Jimmy Page was 70s as fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. The Jimmy Page stuff just sounded weird, I think, for the most part. There's a lot of 70s look to it, too.
Speaking of the music, the musical cues were, like, so over the top with things when something would happen. Mm-hmm. I loved that.
It's pretty weird, but there were 80s things about it.
It's definitely the most 80s of the Death Wish movies that we've seen.
But still not incredibly 80s.
But I don't know, the hyper violence.
Yes.
The tons of punks. The punks are evil trope.
Yeah, it's
all very 80s.
Very 80s. So. Yeah, the main bad guy felt very 80s to me.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay, well, yeah, so pretty good on the 80s scale. 80s
no.
No?
No.
Decent?
It's okay.
Okay, alright. Let's see. Boob factor. They're,
yeah, if you want, like,
rape victim boobs.
Rape boobs.
I think there were two. There were 2
rape boobs?
2 pairs of rape boobs, yes. The director's girlfriend, who was at the end of the movie, the black chick with I think she had dreads.
I don't remember. But I just remember feeling sad for her.
She had a nice set on her, but yeah, she's screaming and crying and getting carried upstairs by a bunch of punks.
You cannot be excited by that.
No, you can't. So there's that. There's rape boobs. If you're into that, if that's your thing, then there you go. I'm not too into that.
No.
And using a missile launcher at point blank range factor.
The highest.
Yeah, I thought that was really high.
So high.
Okay, so overall, what would you rate it?
1.5.
1.5? Okay, I would rate it a 3. So.
A 3?
Yep.
Really?
It's a fun movie. I thought it was a fun movie. It was so stupid in a good way.
I know, but like I've seen so many stupid ass movies that were more fun than that.
I don't know. I thought it was fun. I liked it.
It was okay.
I was like laughing with glee when Charles Bronson just runs out onto the fire escape and just starts mowing down those guys with this giant machine gun, like this.
And his little buddy, his buddy's.
His buddy's holding his
bullet belt.
His bullet belt, yeah.
Yeah.
And he just goes around with that machine gun, just mowing down people, and it was awesome.
I wish I was playing it, I guess. I don't know.
Playing the video game?
Yeah, I wish I was, like, controlling him, then it might have been a little more fun.
The super awkward scenes between the police chief and Paul Kersey, the awkward scenes between the love interest, Paul Kersey's weird befriending of the old people that live in the building with him.
Yep.
Like, he smells some good cooking, so his buddy's like, oh, you like the smell? I'm going to bring you to introduce the people cooking that. And then they just like, hey, here's this guy. He liked to smell your cooking. You're like, oh, come on in and eat with us.
Oh.
That's just how things work. Maybe it used to work that way. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's the way things were. Especially,
hey, we live in an extremely dangerous neighborhood where people are murdered and raped and there's vandalism every day. Hey, strange person that comes to my door liking the smell of our cooking. Come on in and eat with us.
Maybe that's the
point. Come into our home,
They're
stranger.
oh my gosh, this is a man who likes he just likes the smell of our cooking. He's not shooting us. He's not raping us. This is the best
he's trying to gain access to your apartment. You don't know what he's going to do.
Nobody's crafty.
He has no soul. You can see the deadness in his eyes.
But there's no craftiness in this world from the bad guys. None at all. They're just like, woo-hoo-hoo, and like throwing things into their windows and stuff. There's no way that they would be like tricking them into anything.
I think this gang in this movie was the same gang that was invading Precinct. Precinct 13?
Assault on Precinct 13. You know, I thought about that movie more than once while I was watching this movie.
Which was an early John Carpenter film from the late 70s.
It has what I might say is possibly the best theme song of John Carpenter's movies.
No way.
It's like a few notes, you know, just over and over again, but I love it so much.
Yeah, it had the ice cream scene. Anyway, we can't talk about that, but it's not 80s. But in that movie, there was this...
It's great.
Gangs
it's horrible, but
just
it's great.
Trying to climb in windows and being killed, and they're like human zombies.
Yeah.
Which I guess the zombies are already human zombies usually, but they're not zombies. They're living.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird. It's bizarre. That movie, I like that movie.
Mindless. They're on drugs, Adam.
Did you like?
Don't you know how drugs work?
Right. They're drugged up, evil gang members.
Yeah.
And Death Wish 3 had the same gang because they were just as suicidal, just climbing in windows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Getting nails through their skulls.
Did you like Assaults on the Precinct
accident?
better than Death Wish 3?
I think I might have.
Because of the soundtrack?
Yeah.
It had a better soundtrack, I'll give it that.
The main actor was more into the movie, I guess. I don't know, it's just kind of, it's especially sad now knowing, like I feel like I was almost as sad as I am now, like, watching it, not even knowing, you know, like, all the behind the scenes, like, oh, the actor was sad, the director was fucking depraved as hell, like, it all shows all too well in that movie.
Yeah. When Alex Winter was introducing the movie to people that were about to watch a 35mm screening of it, he said, do you know what you're in for? Like, have you seen this movie? Like, really? You want to watch? Okay. You're here to watch it. Then that's what you want to do. But, yeah, it's a cult classic because of how fucking retarded it is. These Death Wish movies actually remind me of how I used to play with my toys when I was a boy.
How was that?
Well, I played with my action figures. You know, I didn't play well with other kids because I always wanted to have total control over, like, the stories I was creating with my toys.
Oh, man, I was the same way, except, like, we didn't even use toys half the time.
If I played with other kids, like, you're fucking up my storyline, asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. There are plots. There are threads. You wouldn't understand what I'm doing, this masterpiece I'm creating, which was usually a ripoff of whatever the last movie or comic I read. I was always stealing my ideas.
Not me. I was a genius, and I came up with everything on my own.
Oh, well, that's great.
I mean, or sometimes I did my own, like, oh, this is my own version of this video game, or whatever.
Sometimes I'd be creative, and I'd take two different things, and I'd mash them together to create my own thing, like Sonichu.
Oh, great.
You know, I was a little
or
Christian
like
Weston Chandler.
Satans and Ninjas. Except that's both of us.
Yep.
It's not just you. No, me.
Okay. Well, anyway, so when I would play with these toys, usually I played with Lego minifigs. I didn't really play with the Lego bricks so much as I played with the minifigs. And my plot lines almost always involved the hero's girlfriend or wife either getting captured and, like, raped or, like, raped and murdered, and then it would be a revenge story.
Was Death Wish your favorite movie?
I never saw any of the Death Wish movies as a kid. I don't know why. I think it was probably things like The Crow or The Wraith. Those
you
are probably
shouldn't have seen those movies that young, I guess.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I think it was when I was a bit older that I started getting more like
How
rapey,
old were
murdery.
you when you were playing with these toys?
Like 10 or 11. You know. So, what were your stories about when you were playing with your stupid stuffed animals?
Cool things. I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah. So that wraps our first episode of this podcast. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to make fun of our voices or whatever, you can email us at 198666@satanninja.com. That's 198666@satanninja.com.
Please don't make fun of our voices. That would make me really sad.
Yeah, don't make Jessica sad. Jessica's a very fragile girl. She knows that she sounds like a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, I sound like a girl Kermit.
Girl Kermit? Hot girl Kermit with big tits.
Girl Kermit the Frog.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Bye.